All right, I believe we are recording. So thanks, everybody. I will call the meeting to order. And with that, obviously, thanks everybody for being here. I know the summer season is just getting started, and also a holiday weekend looming around us here. So I appreciate everybody taking some time to be here. So with that, we will go through, actually not quite roll call yet, I guess. First off, are there any announcements, changes, or adjustments to the agenda that anybody had? Seeing and hearing none, we will move on then to roll call and government council members time. Bill, do you want to run through roll call, or do you just want to take it off of the attendance sheet? Or the
what your choice, Mr. Chair. Looks like, I mean, we can go through and note who's here. We can certainly do that from the meeting list as well. Not required any longer.
All right. Well then, yeah, I think we've got. I'll just run through who is here, and if somebody's not who I call off, then out of the governing committee, let me know. So we have myself, Allison, Brian, Chris McWhite. Lost my spot there. Diane Carter, Andy Higgins, Mark Matheny, Paul Demers, Rachel Parrish. Did I catch everybody? I think that's everybody I see. Did I miss anybody on the governing committee, governing council? All right. And does any governing council members have anything that they wanted to bring up for a topic of discussion at this time? Or topics for future meetings? Nothing. All right. We will move on then on the agenda to number 4, the approval of the meeting minutes from April 7th. As always, Rachel does a great job of kind of keeping track of everything, but then also we've got the recording with the clickable link that we put into the meeting minutes. So you can always go back and watch highlights of your favorite meetings that we've had. Hopefully everybody had a chance to look through those minutes. Is there and then also they were also emailed out, but is there a motion to accept those?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Thanks, Allison. Thanks, Paul. Any comments, questions? Are there any objections to approving those minutes? Seeing and hearing none, I will assume everybody else is in favor, so we will move on. Moving on to number 5, the non-BMC GC members or guest time. This is a chance for anybody who's here joining us to speak up, say hi, bring up any topics that you'd like us to discuss in the future, any topics you'd like to see for a future meeting, or if it's your first time here joining us and you just want to introduce yourself. I will open up the floor to anybody that's not on the governing committee to speak up and say hi. If you'd like to, just use the raise hand feature and I can call on you. Seeing nobody. Everybody wants to get this meeting out of the way. Huh? All right, we'll keep last chance. All right, we will move on then to all of our reports. So chairman report, I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. Thanks everybody for being here. Obviously it's still going through Building Safety Month, so hopefully everybody's out there still getting your proclamations in. I won't steal any of Ron's thunder. He can still talk about getting proclamations in for Building Safety Month during the Board of Directors report, but obviously keep celebrating Building Safety Month, keep pushing that in your communities. Definitely share ideas with each other on what you're doing in your community. I know, again, Ron does a lot of school visits. I used to do a lot of school visits as well. I would get into the high schools, talk to the woodworking classes. We did I got actually a few of my people to do a Saturday at Home Depot once, where we just set up a table. We had some flyers out there, talked to people that were coming in about, what you got to do for permits and things like that. We also a couple years in a row, we did a resource fair where we opened up City Hall one night. We had a couple local contractors, local vendors, things like that come in. Also a lot of city services. We had, our DPW there, and we had neighborhood services and health department, and just a lot of resources for the residents. So again, share those ideas, share what you're doing with each other, and keep promoting Building Safety Month. So I will leave it there and turn it over to our Vice Chair, Mr. Matheny.
Thank you, sir. I will as well keep things very short. Absolutely great to see everybody here. Always a good time to have so many participants. Just, kind of share how energized I am to see everything that's actually happening. Good work. So we've made a little bit of light of that before the meeting, joking around, but some real strong work, strong participation happening. Elizabeth and the team there with the social media and those are just love to see those up there. Just really great to see them keep popping up. That's really how we get that information out. Just to have it available. Really good work. I gotta send a shout out to Allison for letting me into a meeting that I was about 20 minutes late for after everybody had left. So super thanks for that. The meeting prior just ran way too long. So thanks again. But yeah, just love all the energy, love all the participation. Let's just keep that momentum going. We're going to talk about other things. So I'm going to leave that about kind of where our goals and what our next benchmarks and markers are. So just full energy. Just love to see all that. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Next, we'll move on to the ICC Board of Directors Liaison Report. Ron, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we already know it's Building Safety Month. Encourage everybody to get their proclamations. As we were talking before the meeting, it seems like we're down a little bit this year. I know we are in Kentucky, and I think it's just because everybody's so busy. We just got to make more time to get out there and visit our schools and get our proclamations secured and get them submitted. There's some chapters they say, yeah, we get 5 or 6, but nobody ever submits them. They don't know how. It's real simple. You go to the website, you can do it. You can generate your own once you have that in hand, or you can send a scanned copy in. So we got, not to get on Bill's bandwagon too early here, but the applications for the leadership experience closes on June 14th, and the Long Beach registration is already open. I've already registered. If you haven't, please do so soon. I understand there's a little bit of difficulty with booking rooms in the hotels due to the local restrictions. Anyways, like I said, other than that, we're doing school visits and getting some little recognition. And I know City of Lexington, down where Elizabeth works, they had a big ceremony, and the mayor and all the city council and all that submitted or presented Bob Carpenter, the director down there, new director, former president of CAC, with Building Safety Month proclamation. It made the news. It was great. We're getting stuff on our website or Facebook also in our region and our state. So just try to promote best you can. I was encouraged by the list of goals we received. It just seems like we got an awful lot of them. Maybe we need to try and narrow down a few, but that's your all's business. I'm just here to support you any way I can. Glad to see you, and hopefully we'll see everybody in Long Beach soon. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ron. And yeah, and that's the part F here, where we're going to talk about narrowing down those goals to probably 2 or 3 that we really want to focus in on for this year. But thanks for that. Are there any other ICC Board of Directors who would like to chime in? I see a couple of them on here.
Well, Ron always does a
I
good
see
job.
Unmute. Yep.
Yeah, Ron always does a good job. We don't need to take up a lot of your time. You guys do good work. We're here if you have any questions. Good to see everyone.
Excellent. Thanks.
Good to see everybody.
Who was that?
Mike Boso here. I'm glad to be here. There is a lot of events going on. Hopefully you guys get to see the U.S. Fire Administration and other building leaders speak at the building safety reception out of Washington, D.C. last week. If not, it is recorded, so you could go back and watch it. I was able to attend that in person for the first time, and it was a really great turnout. And I don't know if you could see everybody, if you see it online, but there was a lot of people there, and a lot of discussion on, you know, the direction we're going and what we need to do and working together to get there. So again, thanks for everything you guys do. Enjoy your building safety month. Get out there and get the word out. And if you need anything, holler. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike. All right. I don't see any other board of directors on the call, so we will move on to the staff liaison report. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, everybody. This is about the point where I'll show you, if you have the ability to see my screen as I share my screen. This is the agenda for today, and of course we put hyperlinks on for really what is an important part of what we do in GR for an ICC staff to get you information out, other than the obvious Director Hampton's report and other board directors who chime in here. They all have good information for you, but this is the link that comes up, and I need to slide it open and give it to you. And there we go. So here is our May update for this month, and there's an awful lot of information in here. You certainly can go and pull it up and download it. I'll say, like I always say, your government relations manager, whomever they are in your state, please make it your business to find out who that person is. If you don't know who that person is, just ask and we will tell you, and you should reach out to them and make sure you get onto this list, and frankly share it with your membership. Many of you on here are chapter leaders and leaders of different groups, and your membership gets this information and should be as just important to them as it is to you. So again, Rick Hauffe from our staff puts this together on a monthly basis for you with an awful lot of information. I won't go through it. All of the directors today touched on many of these items. The ABM, of course, Building Safety Month as we wind down, and there's still time to get proclamations in. I would agree with Director Hampton that they seem down a bit this year, but you know, it is only the 23rd of the month, so there's still plenty of time to get out there and get those proclamations. Of course, we touched on the ABM. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. On registration is open, and you know, rooming is short, but we'll do what we can to get you out there. But we want to make sure you get all that information as much as possible. Let's see. BRIC grants, of course, we're hearing that there's another round of BRIC funding coming out, not confirmed yet, but we're hearing through our channels that to anticipate another round of BRIC funding. That's the BRIC Codes Plus program, where there'll be upwards of $2 million cut out for code administration within state jurisdictions. So keep an eye out for that. And the other many grant programs, many of you probably likely deal with Stella Carr from our office, who does much of the grant work for you all to make it available and keep you informed. Let's see, annual conference. I know there's a call for committees, and I want to say it's June 15th, a call for some exam development committees. So those calls come out there. You need to keep your eyes and ears open on the website for these calls for committees. I encourage you all to find more free time from your busy schedules that you already don't have, to give back further to these committees that are very important to what we do at ICC. We count on your help. Let's see. That's about it for now, folks. You know, we're available for questions. I'll be here for the rest of the meeting, of course, to answer any questions as they come up. Mark Roberts could not make it today. It was tied up in another event. No worries on that. I'm glad to fill in and pinch hit. We'll have some discussion on the steering committee coming up shortly, and a bunch of other items. Hopefully, we'll be able to take care of on today's call. So that's all I really have, Mr. Chair, and I'm glad to answer any questions.
Bill, do you want to? There was a question in the chat about where to send in proclamations and stuff. Is there a link on the GR report there that has that? I know Rachel put something into the chat as well on it, but I just wasn't sure if there was.
What I will do is, there you go. So I will, there it is there, and I will put this into the chat. This will get you right to the page with proclamations, and there's a link here. I will put both of those into the chat for, unless somebody, I would imagine one of you other persons are going to jump the gun on me and get it into the chat, but I will.
Rachel did already put it into the chat, so you're good there.
Of course.
Of course I did, Bill. Yeah. You know I've always beat you to this.
I'm just a little bit slower than you, girl. I know, just a little bit slower.
But anyway. But she only put the link in there, so I just didn't know if you wanted to show kind of where it is on that page, but you kind of showed it right.
That's fine. Yeah. So if you can see my screen, right? This is the proclamation link to submit a proclamation. There you go. You can click on it's all self entries, and it will come up and spit this out, and it will, when you hit send, it will magically appear back on our web page. So after a little bit of checking, Director Hampton looks like he has his hand up.
Go ahead, Ron.
Thank you, Ed. Like I was saying, you can generate your own. Usually what I do is if I got a mayor that I walk into his office and he just scribbles his name on there and hands it back to me, then I'll fill in all the pertinent information and generate one. But if I get a nice pretty one on their letterhead and, you know, this and that, then I will upload it. You can do it either way.
You can upload.
Some of them won't. I mean, some of them will just put their town. They won't put their city or their county. They won't put what state or nothing. So you got, you know, it's kind of, you can generate one real easy, and then you can mark on there. I mean, if you've got it in hand, then you have their permission. And so then you can mark on there that you can have a confirmation sent to you. That way you know that it got posted. That's a good way to keep track of it. Our system's improved greatly over the years, because years ago it would, sometimes they didn't get them all posted, but that's okay. Thank you.
Yep. No, thanks for that. And again, you know, and it's not just for the 24 people here on this call. You know, make sure that you guys are sharing this with your regions and your chapters, and get everybody else aware of this information. So, Rick, you got your hand up as well?
Yeah, if you got a question, just call Bill Nash.
There you go.
Okay.
Mr. Hauffe.
That always works too.
Indeed. You can count on me to call you back. Indeed.
Yep. Just when you thought you were out, we pull you back in. All right. Anything else, Bill? You're good?
Good, Mr. Chair. All back to you.
All right. Thanks for that. Does anybody have any questions for Bill or Ron on either of those reports? Any other additional questions? All right, seeing nobody with a hand getting raised, we'll move on to the Membership Council Steering Committee report. Allison, you want to update us on that?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So we've been, the big thing we are asking everybody for, the two big things asking folks for before the steering committee's next meeting are, one, that any kind of restrictions, requirements that anyone has for their membership council, that they provide that and we publish that, because those all went away when the charters went away. So a lot of good stuff got put into the council policy. And one of those was, it's up to us to manage if we have that at this level. That way we don't have to go back to the board of directors every time. And we did some good work with Rachel, Elizabeth, and Tom earlier this week to draft up some changes from the charter language to propose. The other thing that is on the agenda here today too, so BMC is out ahead of it, is the request for goals so that we can report those and measure those. And that's looking great. So that's really the big stuff the steering committee has coming up, is making sure our end of the year report is good to go, that it's what it's expected of us, as well as making sure that everybody has everything ready for putting out for requests for membership councils here. And that should be going out sometime. We should have a timeline for that shared with the steering committee and out for everybody sometime, I think, at the end of this month, beginning of next month.
And our next meeting for that is next Tuesday maybe, or Wednesday?
28th.
28th? Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. So yeah, so we definitely got to work through some of this stuff today so we can report that back to them for next week. So thanks, Allison. Any questions for her on anything there, or questions on the steering committee in general? All right, seeing none. The next up on the reports is actually the BMC 2024 goals and annual report. Bill, I just emailed you a brand new kind of an updated sheet on our goals. Are you able to pull that up?
Yes, I haven't seen it. I'll pull my email up and check.
And while we're waiting on Bill, Mark would have already had it up, but since we're stuck with Bill and we're waiting on him, just want to thank everybody that did get some goals in. I think we ended up with a really, really good list of those goals. You know, and like I mentioned earlier, I think we want to narrow that down to probably 2 or 3 that we want to focus in on for this year, but I think it also gives us a really good list of ones that we can start thinking about for 2025 as well. You know, kind of gives us a jump start on that. So one of them that's on the list, we already pretty much did. So we're going to take credit for that one for this year, and that was publishing those code official profiles on the BMC social media channels during Building Safety Month here. You know, Allison's not here today, but you know, huge shout out to her and the Raise the Profile team.
Mr. Chair, Elizabeth.
Yeah. Oh,
you said me. You said Allison.
Oh, did I?
Elizabeth.
I meant Elizabeth. Yes.
Make sure she gets credit. It's great work.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So yes, make sure that yes, next time you talk to Elizabeth, that it's all these, you know, vowel names. You know, I can't keep them all straight. But yeah, you know, she did a great job with the race profile team on that, and those turned out fantastic. Thanks to everybody that participated in that. I know quite a few people that I've seen the profiles on are on this call today. So how's that list coming, Bill?
So, and I don't have, it just came in. It just came in. Wait, now I can open it.
Yeah.
It just came in 3:55 and it's 3:56. Yes, we have slow servers here. Hang on, it's coming.
All right. And yeah, we'll take credit for that one. And then, like I said, if we want to pick up on maybe 1 or 2 others that we can report in for this year.
Hey, Ed, we also want to take credit for the survey that was created and finalized. Once again, led by a good team. So, so we want to do that as well. That is one that's behind us.
I think, well, that was last year's ABM. I think that Elizabeth did that, wasn't it? Or well, she had that other one, I guess. Yeah, since then too. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's another good one that we can take credit for. If Bill ever brings up our list, we can.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can share my screen. Okay. Yep. There we go. All right. So these are the ones that were emailed in from everybody. Again, you know, thanks for doing that. Well, you know, I emailed this out, but I know I just got it out to you guys yesterday. So we'll kind of run through these real quick, and then we can kind of talk about them. So obviously the first one on there, creating a virtual inspection standard for ICC to publish. I think Rachel had a comment that major jurisdictions might already be working on something like that. So if we want to go into that goal, might be something to, you know, partner with them on. Increase in participation of code officials at the committee action hearings for the Group B hearings by 10% compared to those in attendance for the Group A hearings. And the Group B hearings, of course, are 2025. I just cut and pasted that out of the email. Also develop a collaborative matrix using all input from all are using input from all membership councils and WICID, describing from their own perspective what impedes new inspectors and everybody. This report shall be shared with ICC Executive Board to develop a nationwide strategy to make an impact on this problem. So yeah, and that's a little bit into that survey, but something similar to that, and also I think almost working with emerging leaders on the Safety 2.0, the rehash there, I think might be good. The fourth one on there, review the current role of the BMC against the original intent. I think that's something that we should always be doing, whether or not we make that an official goal. I think it should almost be a constant goal of us, that we're always, at least, once every other year or so, making sure that we're staying on track. Number 5, partner with ELMC on the Vote for Your Codes efforts, and include 1 to 2 online learning sessions on how to testify on code change proposals. Yeah, and I think that one's another fantastic one, especially with those online learning sessions. Number 6, publish code official profiles on the BMC social media channels. We did that one, we already mentioned, so good job. We got one goal figured out and completed. Complete the recognition letters project. That one's on there, of course. Number 8, find at least 4 special guest presentations in 2025 to be held prior to these meetings to increase attendance, increase participation, and provide obviously some valuable information to the building official community. Number 9, develop a new BMC sponsored program for the 2025 ABM and/or Leadership Week. Number 10, create an education task group or subcommittee. And then 11, work with major jurisdictions to update the best practices document. Saw something come in on the chat. Oh, all right. So then also in there, Code Official Membership Council Engagement Survey, share the results in the annual report, and then Building Safety Month. Okay. Yeah, so you're just kind of mentioning the couple that we have done.
Forget that. That's all. Nothing new.
Yep. Thank you. All right, so with that, I will again, and so we want to come up with 2 or 3 for this year. We kind of already have 2, so we maybe just want to pick out one more here that we want to work on for this year. But also I think it gives us a jump start, and we can start to plan ahead for 2025, so we can kind of hit the ground running next year as well. So I will open up the floor here if anybody has any thoughts, comments on any of these or other goals that you guys might have, maybe something here kind of jogged your memory or your thoughts on something else. So I will kind of open up the floor here, and Mark's got his hand up. So go ahead, Mark, jump on in there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, first of all, a good list. So I think it's a lot to work off of. I think it's a great opportunity to finalize this year, and also, like you said, really work to move into January strong next year. And so that's great. I do want to just touch base, and I think Rachel, you probably put this one in there about work with MJC to update the best practices document. And just so everybody knows where that's at is that it was, of course, just recently updated from the 17. So if you go on MJC's, you'll see a new one. It says second edition. And the idea behind that, and working with IAS to get this actual document, they're not going to expend that much energy to create another full document. But because, and I'll tell you, because the concept is that we would do like an annual update to that, right? So we would create a package of new information that's come in and be able to either publish or electronically or whatever, summarize all of that. So I say all that in that I think our opportunity and maybe our duty is to get the word out for people to update it, right? There's an application form that you can fill out that's on that best practices page, and the idea is to get small, medium, and large jurisdictions to come up and say what they are doing. So I think we should have the charge to promote that and get that out there for people, and then kind of guide that to MJC to let them know that those updates are there, and then work with them as to what this annual publication or summary looks like.
Yep. Thanks for that, Mark. Anyone else? Are there any on here that that people think we should definitely take a look at for this year?
So I think 2 and 5 go together. The idea of increased engagement. I think that can be both a 2024 and a 2025 effort. ELMC already has a whole sort of playbook for put out these social media posts. I think it's just a matter of partnering with them on that. And then any other ideas, like I personally would like to continue to press the idea that the Code of Honor scholarship gets changed and like continue to support that idea, which is a board action. But I think like BMC getting behind that and putting it in our annual report just further goes behind that of like, hey, we want to increase engagement. One of the things is to ask the board, please fix this issue. So those two go together and seem relatively easy to me. I don't know if Amrinder is on, and I like the recognition letters project, but I don't know about having it as a goal. Because we know right now there's nothing more BMC can do to get that done. Like we've done everything we can do, and now it's a matter of kind of, as I understand it, and I don't see Amrinder on, but Chris and Paul were in that meeting. Essentially, like we've reached out, ICC staff need to take a look at like, is it possible to do a letter to recognize a member who's passed, and then if that works well with that jot form, exploring more later. It's kind of like, I think we've kind of hit a point with that where we might not be able to do much more until we have more ICC staff. Paul's raised his hand though.
Yep, go ahead, Paul.
On that one, I did have a chat with Ron Peaster, just a brief one because of some other issues. And he was pretty sure that we didn't need to do much more than just provide some more guidance, and they would be able to handle that from there. So I agree, it's a hard one. I mean, it's one we've got, I think, kind of on the cusp of taking credit for and saying we got one done, but I think just champion it to the finish line, certainly in 24, is whether it's a goal or just a project that we can finish. That's.
Yeah, and I agree on that. I think we've kind of taken that one to where we're at. But I do also agree, and I saw a few other thumbs up popping up from people. Maybe a combination of 2 and 5 where we can team up with ELMC. Maybe we start to develop a couple online learning sessions, and then because of those. With our goal kind of being to increase some attendance there. I also thought, and we discussed this in Orlando as well, the Code of Honor scholarship. I definitely think that's an issue that we should bring up here and try to get the board to take a look at that. And I know, we've talked to Ron on that already, but I think something maybe a little bit more formal coming from us, I think would be a great next step on that. So. Anyone have any other thoughts on any of these other goals? I mean, if we did a combination of 2 and 5 plus the 2 that we already accomplished, I think we're good there. Maybe for this year. But are there any here that we that also are really good that we would want to pursue into 2025? I think actually number what would it be, 8 and maybe 10, is it? I'm trying to find my, like 8, actually 8, 9, and 10. I think all kind of go together as well. Finding some special guest presenters, developing a program for the 2025 ABM, and then also creating an education task group or subcommittee, something like that. I think would also be another a great goal for us. But Allison, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say 8 stands out to me as a really great thing. Fire service has done a lot of that. If we're taking that on, the task group makes sense, but I think we should try to stick with what we discussed in the last meeting of like, let's pick these goals and then redo the task groups afterwards is the only other comment I wanted to mention.
Right. Yep. And that's where I think, yeah. So yeah, I guess to say what I'm really kind of getting at is I think 8 and 9 are really good goals, but then that leads us to 10, as we discussed in Orlando, of maybe we step back from the best practices task group and we create more of a education task group, and we could start getting into it a little bit this year, and then really starting to push that forward in 2025. But I guess what are the thoughts on those? Anybody have any thoughts on 8, 9, 10? See some hands. Tom and Bill. Tom Allen's here now, so if you can note that in the minutes. But hey, Tom.
Hey, sorry, I was just finishing a webinar for Building Safety Month, so I was a little delayed getting in. But
that's about the only excuse that's acceptable to this group right now. So you, good job.
Well, I was the host, so I kind of had to be there. But I agree. I attend, of course, the majority of the fire service membership councils, and they always have a really good presentation as part of their meeting, and they're very timely topics. And I agree with what Allison was saying. I think we really, after code development, this really should be something that we do to attract more people to attend our meetings and to be getting a little more involved with what we're doing.
Yeah, and I put that in there as my goal for us, based off of, fire service. We some of you are going to remember, we did this for a few years where we tried getting some in here. It was very hit or miss. It would usually just be, Bill, Mark, and I about a month before the meeting saying, I don't know, do you guys have any ideas on who we can bring in? And usually we would mention it at our, at the meetings of, hey, we need some topics, we need some people, let us know if you guys have any ideas. And we really wouldn't, nobody would really speak up or anything. So that's why I kind of fell away. But I think if we come up also then with number 10, where we've got an education task group where, they're meeting, they're brainstorming, they're coming up with some ideas, they're reaching out to, other chapters, other regions out there. What do people want to hear about? What are the hot topics that we need to address? And if we have a group that's really focused in on that, I think we can really make that really successful. And you'll notice too, I didn't put in there to do them all. We'll usually have somewhere 6 to 8 meetings a year, but if we can even just start with 4 of them for next year, I think that would be a great start. But yeah, again, and maybe that ends up being more of a 2025 goal that we can kind of start to get a jump start on this year. But any other thoughts on these? Any other? And I should mention too, I mean, this is not just for the governing committee. We've got some non-governing committee members out here. I'd love to hear from you guys too on what the general building membership council membership would like the board here to go after, or the council to go after. And what we should be doing to promote you guys. But I guess any other goals on the list here? Anybody wants to talk about? Any other thoughts? Otherwise, we can maybe start to narrow this down then, to the 2 that we've already done, and maybe a combination of a 3, 5. Allison, go ahead.
I guess with that in mind and moving forward, I'd like to make a motion to create 3 2 new subcommittees and continue to have 1 existing subcommittee remain. I'd like to see a code development subcommittee, to borrow from Tom Allen's words there.
Okay.
That its overall goal is that 10% increase, and as part of that, formally requesting the board revisit the Code of Honor Scholarship and the partner with ELMC idea. The second subcommittee, and I don't know if we've had this before, we have a version, sorry, Bill, I don't remember our 3 current subcommittees, but education with the
Yeah, no,
4
we've
special
had that.
presentations and the BMC training. Do we have that, Bill? Sorry.
No, not
Okay.
currently.
And then keeping the raise the profile because it's already achieved the 2024 goals, and they, I think, could repeat the building safety month thing again.
Yep, and I think we always want to keep a raise the profile subcommittee out there, just because it's such an important and valuable topic to us. So,
Allison, Allison, can you repeat that the first one that you mentioned?
I can throw it in the chat if that helps. So for
Even better.
everybody, what I'm proposing is these 3, and that people sign up, or, you know, that we have different folks who are gonna jump on that, and I'm happy to participate in the code development subcommittee. I saw Andy had his hand up, but that's like my thought is like, let's break these out and start assigning people if we're good with these.
I just wanted to offer a quick friendly amendment to the code development subcommittee. Could we make it code development participation subcommittee or something, just to make it clear that they're not actually doing code development, but it's focused on increasing participation?
Thank you. That's a good point.
Thanks for that, Andy. All right, so we do have a motion from Allison to create those 3 subcommittees. That is in the chat now with that one slight tweak. I know Tom had seconded it, so we do have a
I'll
motion on the
second
floor.
with the friendly amendment.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So now we have a motion on the floor. We can open this up for discussion. Mark.
Yeah, thank you. Just a very simple part of the discussion. And agreeing with that last recommendation, I'm speaking from experience. Don't try to create a committee that ICC already has a name for.
Good idea, Mark. Absolutely.
Yep.
The one thing that I do want to ask, do we want to finalize these 24 goals and the 25 goals before we entertain the full motion, just in case we want to make some minor modifications to what we're doing?
Oh, I guess with that motion, I'm suggesting that those are the 24 and 25 goals, that if there are other ones people want to include, I mean, I don't think that means we can't work on anything else, but those are like, I guess I was thinking like some of these other things, like, all are great ideas, but like total transparency number 3 there, I think that's a great idea, but I think there'll be the engagement platform coming out, and we do already have the monday.com thing. So I'm wondering if this is really, if buildings membership council is the avenue for that, for example. So I guess I'm assuming if it isn't in this list, that it isn't on the 2024 or 25 goals. Is that?
Yep. And I think too, you know, I mean, we can have additional goals, you know, and additional things to work on, you know, and try to fit those into some of these categories here. It's just, you know, what are we going to kind of go in as our official goals, you know, that we're hopefully taking credit for. But I think with the Monday platform, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think that that's a great spot to, we can almost put all of these in there somehow. And yeah, you know, like you said, you know, maybe number 3, maybe that one eventually goes away, but at least it's a reminder. It lets the other membership councils know, hey, this is something that you know, people over here at least are thinking about it. And maybe we end up collaborating on something else, you know, the virtual inspection standard. You know, major jurisdictions is already looking at this. If we put something like that into the Monday platform, they can kind of see that and say, hey, you know, we'd love to partner with you guys on that. So I think there's a lot of, I think all these goals are great ideas and you know, things that we should be pursuing, but we want to pick out those 2 or 3 that we're really really wanting to focus in on for this year. So, all right. Any other discussion on the? We do have the motion on the floor for the 3 subcommittee makeup. I guess to clarify, Allison, are you thinking that this would start 2025, or are you proposing that this would start sooner so that we can start working on this stuff right away?
I'm proposing, like, because I think this was part of the discussion in the last meeting of like, hey, what subcommittees should we do? I'm proposing that these start now, basically, and people pick and sign up for what they want to do. Because I think some of this, like the asking for the Code of Honor scholarship thing, that can be a 2024. Same with partnering on ELMC, and some of it, like the increased participation, that's a 2025 goal that we need to start working on now, if that makes sense.
Yep. And that's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify that's what we were going for. So any other discussion on the new subcommittee structure then? All right, and if not, I know on the minutes and everything, I went the opposite way. I just asked for no votes, just because those always pass. But I will ask for affirmative votes on this one. So all those in favor of approving these 3 subcommittees starting basically at the conclusion of this meeting, we'll start getting these the structure on these all set up and everything. Everybody in favor of that new subcommittee structure, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Mr. Chair,
Right.
if I
Yes,
could,
sir.
just to complete a thought on that, I wanted to make sure you got your vote in before I chimed in. There are some people on the call, obviously the governing committee and membership of these subcommittees is certainly looking at governing committee members, but there are members of the building membership council who are on this call who are not members of the governing committee.
Yep.
We want to encourage them to participate and join these subcommittees. So we'll have to rework the posting, I guess, on the website, or at least put the word out here. The policy for collecting people, chair people, how that's going to be done, that can be discussed maybe offline, but rest assured the people who are not part of the governing committee will be given an opportunity to participate in some capacity.
Yep. And yeah, and actually I was gonna follow up to that vote by saying too, anybody that's on the governing committee here, if anybody's interested in chairing or co-chairing either of those 2 new subcommittees, for sure, we can take that discussion offline. Just shoot me an email on it. After the meeting here, I also want to, because we are missing a handful of members, I want to make sure that they also have an opportunity to do that. So I don't want to pick any chairs or vice chairs or co-chairs or anything right now when we're missing a handful of people, especially Elizabeth, who's obviously very does a lot of work on this stuff, even though I'm assuming she would want to stay on.
I was just gonna
Raise
make
the
a motion
profile.
to put her on Raise the Profile anyway. You're not here. We'll volunteer you.
She does a great job on Raise the Profile, but I also know she has a lot of connections back to ELMC. So if the education one was working with them, she may want to switch. But so I don't want to pick chairs, co-chairs or anything today. But we'll again, if anybody has interest in those, let me know and we can work on that for the next meeting. But I see a couple hands up. So Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I'm a little confused. I thought that was general practice that you assign people who weren't at the meeting those responsibilities. Right?
That's usually how it goes. But I actually like a lot of the people that aren't here today. So I'm just kidding. Rachel, go ahead.
So I just sent in the chat what I have down to submit to the steering committee for the 24 and 25 goals. So if you take a second and read it and let me know if there are any edits that y'all want on this. I can expand on it, a bit in what we submit. If y'all have any changes you want to make on these, I kind of just reformatted what Allison already had into what we're separating for 24 and 25.
Yeah, so just so everybody's aware, so she has for 2024 goals, the BMC profiles for the Building Safety Month, the Code Official Membership Council engagement survey, and then request the Board of Directors to revisit the Code of Honor Scholarship to include the code action hearings for 2024. 2025 then of at least 4 special guest presentations in front of these meetings, develop some new programs for a new program for the 2025 ABM or the Leadership Week, and then partner with ELMC on the Vote for Your Codes to increase code hearing participation for 2025. And I guess Allison or Rachel, you might know as well, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't need the 2025 goals in necessarily right now for the steering committee. So those, we can kind of have an idea of what direction we want to go, but those could get changed by the end of the year if we want to pivot on that.
Right, so those get finalized at the end of the ABM.
Right.
But I am really, really hoping they don't wait until then, because the way that the timeline ends up working out, I already have to submit it to ICC Communications for them to start making it pretty. And so I'm hoping not a lot of changes have to happen after that. So I'm asking for at least some ideas on the direction people are going to want to go.
Right. Yep. And then, yeah, Allison just put in the chat, to add that 10% participation increase goal for 2025. So does anybody have any comments, questions on those for our 2024 and 2025 goals? All right, is there a motion out there to make these our goals? Somebody's got to unmute and
So
make a
moved.
motion.
Second.
Yep.
All right, between Andy and Allison. Any other discussion? Oh, Paul?
No, I'm good.
Oh, all right. All those in favor of accepting our 2024 and 2025 goals, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Thanks, everybody. I think those are going to be fantastic for this group moving forward. Some really good direction, and yeah, I look forward to seeing this stuff getting done. There, Bill. For years you've been yelling at me because I never set any goals, and now on my way out, I finally got some for you.
Be careful where you wish for. That's why I brought up the point that just because you're not on the governing committee doesn't mean you can't serve on the subcommittee. So you should be the first one to set the example, Mr. Chair.
I should be. Yeah, you're right. No,
You just assigned a bunch of work.
I was about to say, you're going to miss the first meeting after you're done being chair, right? So
right. Yeah,
plenty of volunteering to be done.
Yeah.
This guy just created a bunch of work, and then he's terming out.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you just said when you're not at the meeting, you get assigned work. So guess what, Ed?
That's right.
And we know where you live, so watch it.
Oh, you don't.
Yeah, except he's never there.
Milwaukee's a big place. But yeah, with that though, again, for everybody on the call, whether you're terming off, whether you're coming on, whether you're just a regular building membership council member, we're going to need some help to fill out these committees. So, definitely reach out, and not just, and I kind of mentioned that earlier, if you want to be chair, vice chair, to reach out to me, even if you just want to be on one of these committees, reach out to me as well, so we can start to fill those out. So, all right, thanks everybody. That was the heavy lift of really what we wanted to make sure that we got done today. So I appreciate it, all the discussion on that and getting through that. Next up, moving on the reports here, the policies and procedures. Allison mentioned that earlier that they got together. They did talk about some of this stuff. And Bill, if you can go back to that goal sheet farther down on that, was what they came up with here. I guess between Alice and Tom, the group that got together, does one of you guys want to introduce this and go through this, what you guys did?
Sure. So thanks to Tom, Elizabeth, and Rachel. This was some good work here. So the short version is this is essentially what BMC has always had, where not less than 2/3 of the governing committee members have to be honorary members, as that's already defined by ICC's council policy, or meet the following criteria. And the thing that we changed here is employed by or contracted by a governmental jurisdiction as a building official. I think Tom probably can speak to this better than I can, but essentially we're seeing some pretty substantial changes in the industry. And so, Tom, I don't know if you want to speak to it.
We kind of did this to delineate people that work under contract for a jurisdiction are still active members. We want to keep those people in because there's a lot of departments now that they have to contract out for overflow and things like that. But it was kind of the idea of keeping, if you're, we in Florida have a lot of third-party inspection services that work for developers and contractors. They don't work for local government. So I don't see them as being a governing, like working for a government member, being part of what we do, working for jurisdiction.
And I'll just say too, I think it was, where was it? One of the jurisdictions around me. I don't know. I've got Ohio on here. I've got Iowa on here. Either way, I get all you guys confused sometimes. But one of the local chapters near me here that I kind of cover with the Wood Council just added that same language into their bylaws as well. So I think it's definitely something that we're seeing often here now. Might even been Illinois now that I think about it. Either way.
Yeah, I think we're seeing this change because, I mean, you have whole departments that are now being operated by a third party, but they still are functionally, that government official. And then the last thing that we left the same is a third of individuals can be any other ICC member. So if you're with American Wood Council, you're still welcome. We're not kicking out, not asking to kick that out. Right. But that was it. We didn't feel the need to add anything more or substantially change this. This seems to have served BMC well. I don't know if there's any questions, comments, discussions.
I guess one question here on the contracted portion. So if somebody, maybe they work for one of the third-party inspection agencies, but they're not actually out there doing building official work or inspection work, plans examiner work, would they fall into that 1/3 of anyone, would you think? If they're
an ICC member, yeah.
Okay.
And just to be clear, you cannot, according to council policy now, you cannot be, and you never really could have been, on a membership council governing committee if you aren't an ICC member. That is a requirement. Right. So.
Yeah, I know we have a former member of the BMC GC who had to term off a few years ago had to leave because he took a job with a third-party inspection agency as I think like the director of codes or something like that, where he wasn't doing actual inspection work any longer. But because of that 1/3, then he can come back, and I think he's going to reapply for this next time around. I just wasn't sure if he would be counted in that 1/3 or in the 2/3, but yeah.
I think the intention is that he would be in the 1/3 with that.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, my Teams went belly up and I had to go relog in and do third-party authorization and everything else. So, yeah, that's exactly it. As somebody that works for a private entity, then would be in the 1/3 or any associated industry. The 2/3 would be people that actually are employed or contracted by a jurisdiction.
Yep. And that they're actually doing the inspection work or the plans exam work or building official type work. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anybody have any questions or comments or thoughts on this?
Yes.
All right. Bill.
So the policies that you all reviewed, there's I guess what I'd ask to Allison, Tom, and Mark, I guess, we're coming up on a discussion shortly relative to call for committees for governing committee members, elections, nominating committees. Did you just discuss any of that, on how you see the Building Membership Council providing nominating recommendations?
I think we're waiting for, Bill, please correct me if this is wrong, but I think my general sense is we wait for the schedule to come out from the steering committee, because that schedule is largely driven now by Council Policy 9 that I believe 90 days before, at least 90 days before the ABM, the call has to go out. We have a whole time period of things. So I think we're waiting for those dates and schedules to then say how we want to proceed around that. If we want to work with other folks again, like I think that was very successful in the past where we've reviewed, where ELMC got to review with BMC and some other folks, hey, who is probably best for which one?
Yeah, I think that's what we discussed at membership at the steering committee. But I guess what I'd say is the timing is going to be very tight, and maybe it's worthy of having another meeting, you all, and just getting ahead of it a bit and finding out what you feel might work. I mean, you can do anything you want. The councils can now do as long as you do it in accordance with the council policy. But you can formulate your, once the call for committees comes out, you're going to be charged with determining nominations and recommendations to whom might come out of for the voting. Much of that is going to change, folks, this year at the ABM. You'll be hearing more about that soon, but relative to voting for governing committee members. But I think before we even got there, councils are going to need to provide recommendations and nominations once we get the call for committees and filling slots for people who move on for what various reasons. So I think it might be wise for that committee to find a meeting date sooner rather than later to start getting ahead of the election process. We had a pretty stringent process in the past, and timing is tough. It's more so for the timing of it all to try to coordinate that with the deadlines that are coming out, and they will be coming out sooner. So I would just recommend you try to meet.
Do we have a June BMC meeting?
We do not.
To that point, it might be good to do something at the end of June or move the July meeting to the first week in July, because I think at that point we will have the timeline.
July 10th is the next scheduled meeting, so.
I don't think we'll have nominations back at that point, Bill, from everything we discussed. I don't think we'll have a list of candidates back, so I think we're probably fine at that meeting to have on the agenda that discussion. Or are you concerned that's too late?
No, but I think I don't think it's I think that would be fine for that. It looks like that date should give us still some time in July, but again, maybe getting ahead of it a bit, knowing what the process is. I know Tom is aware of it, and Mark, both Tom and Mark, how we've done it in years past. If that's a process you want to continue, then you should chat about it, maybe be able to recommend that that's the case or not. Timing is difficult.
I mean, I agree. I think that the process that we use to choose nominees, whether it be through like a temporary subcommittee of some kind or whatever it is, I think we should have it written up. Number of governing members that we want on there, at a minimum, how we determine how many alternates we have, things like that. At least have broad strokes in there for the future on how we want that done.
Current practice is out there now. Tom, you should all have access to that. If you don't, I can provide you access to those procedures now, if you will, and then you certainly can modify them. In fact, we had modified them in the past, so you can, go ahead.
Go ahead, Allison.
Just one quick thing with that ahead of the July meeting is Bill getting a list of, I think now we know Ed won't be here, Mark won't be here. I don't know who else is terming out or who else, because just so folks are clear, part of the reason this is more complicated than it has been in the past is if we don't have alternates named and selected, then we are not going to just be able to put people on mid-year. We're going to have to wait till the following year, and a seat will sit empty during that time period. So like we may want to consider naming 4 or 5 alternates this year, just in case there are that many people who, for whatever reason, might not be available throughout the year. So I
Yep,
think
yep.
that's just
That's a
my
good
one question is who we know.
That's a good
And
question. The listing of who terms off and who is up for a reelection, that list, the verified list from Ron, I anticipate that shortly, maybe tomorrow, certainly beginning of next week. I expect to see that, and we can have some discussion on it.
Yeah, I've asked for that a couple times now, so yep, it's on its way. Because not just for the people that are terming off, but just so that the people who are up for re-election know that they need to apply and make sure that they get that in time. So, Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. We really do need to get a matrix of where everybody's at and where they're at in the process and how long they have and how many terms and all that, so that we can plan for the future. But if I remember, we had four alternates when we did the election last year as well. We had a whole list of them because we had people that may or may not be elected to the board and moving off and those kind of things. So we had a pretty lengthy list of alternates set up. And I would agree that would be exactly what we need to do again this year. And we just redid all of this last year?
Right.
And we brought everything up to speed. So I really do think that towards the end of June would be an appropriate time before our next meeting for that group to get back together and go over what we have existing and see whether we need to tweak things in there or not. My thoughts.
Sounds good. Yep, excellent. All right. Anybody have any other thoughts, comments on that stuff?
So maybe just to close the loop, the leadership will meet as they do, and you can all maybe direct the subcommittee, policy subcommittee, if that's what it is, and give them some direction.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Moving on then. Any other thoughts, questions, comments on that? I should say before we move on. All right. Moving on then, item H under reports is items in the Monday platform. Who's talking about that? Bill, do you remember? I hate to keep putting stuff on Allison. So
yeah, no, I think it's just a placeholder to have any maybe follow up and chat about Monday and see how people are. It's not so much for this group; it's other chairs and vice chairs, other councils. Maybe maybe Allison, you have some insight as to how it's going or how it could go.
We're good. Rachel now has access, right, Rachel? That only took 3 months. Sorry about that. Anybody else who wants access who does not have it, let me know. We finally worked that out, so it's working, but literally everyone should have access to that. And then Rachel and others have been keeping us updated. BMC is good. It's really some other folks who are still working on that.
Yeah, so just to close the loop on it, so the goals that you did today, and you can now take much of that info and insert it. So, we've done a lot here, Mr. Chair, on
I know.
Yes, you've got a lot on your plate.
More in one meeting than he did the entire rest of the time he was chair.
Oh,
that's right.
Congratulations, Ed.
Did more today than I did the last 3 years as chair. Absolutely. But no, yeah, that's fantastic. All right, moving on then. Subcommittee reports. So actually, number one, discussion on existing and potential new subcommittees or initiatives. We've already covered that one, so way to go, team. Next up, raise the profile subcommittee. Elizabeth and Amrinder are neither here. But obviously, I think we've already touched on a lot of the work that they've been doing, with those building the code official profiles they've been posting. Those have been fantastic. And again, I mentioned it earlier, but thanks to everybody who participated in that. I think those are, I'm seeing them popped up. I'm seeing other people sharing them. So I'm sometimes seeing, I think I saw Tom Allen like 4 or 5 times pop up his little profile on various social medias and other people sharing it and everything like that. So, you know, and everybody else that I see on here. So those are great. Thanks everybody for participating in that. We mentioned the proclamation letters, that those are kind of at, you know, where they're at for now until we get a little bit more background from ICC on some stuff there. And I'm not sure if they have another, I'm assuming that they have another meeting coming up soon, but I'm not sure when it is. I'm not sure if anybody
Who?
has that. What, Bill? You look confused.
Who had, what are you asking?
The Raise the Profile Subcommittee.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I know you don't. That's why I didn't ask you. All right. You're not even supposed to be here. But
I can go away very quickly.
I was saving all this productivity for Mark, so then, you know, I could tell him, hey, look, you know, Bill was in charge. We did nothing for a few years. He's gone for one meeting, and look at all the stuff we got done.
I love it.
No, but yeah, you know, Raise the Profile, I know they've been moving along pretty well. So some great work there, and I appreciate everybody's help on that. Best practices innovation. Chris and Paul, any updates there? I'm seeing some head shakes. All right, and you guys are pretty much, I guess, dissolved soon after this anyway. Is, you know, if there's anything that you guys were kind of working on, you know, we can kind of fold that into one of the other ones. You know, some of the stuff with the deceased members and stuff, we can maybe fold that into the recognition letter stuff that Raise Profile is working on. But
right, I think the word
Chris,
that the last time was to bring it to a close with the simplification of what amounts to a 3-word, as it were, elevator pitch to get people to be involved with BMC in general. I think we closed the loop on that, so we're good.
Awesome.
Because the suggestion we made last time, nobody threw any rotten tomatoes at us, so I figured it was all right.
You know? There you go. There you go. All right. Well, thanks for your work on that subcommittee, and look forward to you guys shifting over to a new subcommittee. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, just to reiterate what we talked about earlier when we were talking about the goals, I wouldn't erase that best practices from the backs of our mind. I think it's important to keep that document, right? Keep that MJC document in mind, and somehow we need to get the word out for people and jurisdictions to continue to work and fill that out.
No, he was just crossing it out because he was thinking of me, not because of the committee. Don't worry about it.
No, I mean, I'm fine crossing it out here. Just let's not forget how important that is.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we definitely don't want to lose sight of that best practices document. So. All right.
Focus on adequate practices instead of best. How's that?
There you go. That's all we're really shooting for, right?
Yeah, just a minimum.
All right. Moving on to item J, then the Membership Council Liaison Reports. And if you guys remember, we're kind of not necessarily. Oh, Bill. Oh, all right. I thought you had your finger up, waiting to chime in on something there.
I can put my finger on Mr. Chair if you like.
I thought you're doing this of I have a point. But Membership Council Liaison Reports. We'll just kind of open this up if anybody has anything. We don't really need a formal report from each of the groups, but I do know that we have Greg and a few others from some of the other membership councils on here. So I'll also open it up if any of the other membership councils had something that they wanted to chime in and update us on. But Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, the Fire Service Membership Council had Jim Sitka on from ICC and did a very good presentation on the A2L refrigerants and A3 refrigerants that are coming. And I think it would be very useful for anybody to go and take a look at that video on YouTube to see his presentation because he did bring forth a lot of the information about how it's going to have to be dealt with over the next few years.
Excellent, thanks. And yeah, and just so everybody knows with that too, Fire Service Membership Council, they record their meetings just like we do. So like Tom mentioned, you can definitely go back and watch those meetings. Anybody have any updates from any of the other membership councils? Or any of the ICC staff? I know Rick Hauffe's on here as well. If anybody has anything there, Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, just something quick from major jurisdictions. They're still working on organizing as a new council, but also had a nice discussion around virtual inspections at the last meeting. And that's a cute dog you got there, Paul. Mine's laying next to me. But yeah, it was a great discussion on virtual inspections. It's interesting how there's a wide range of feelings about virtual inspections across the industry. Some of us are looking at it more positively than others. The reality of COVID and the need to do them versus what's kind of played out since then. What's most appropriate for virtual inspections, the types of inspections that are the most effective to do that way. The conversation bled a little bit into drone inspections and the interesting things that revolve around doing those as well. So it was a fruitful discussion. I think there's more to come on that topic, but yeah, they're definitely doing some good work over there.
Excellent. Thanks, Andy. And Van just put into the chat, hey, Van, by the way, coffee with the Sustainability Membership Council is this Friday if anybody wants to join. I used to always attend those. Those are always great conversations. But then since I moved over here to the Wood Council, we do our staff meetings on Friday mornings, so I usually can't join those. But he did drop in the Zoom link chat, or the Zoom link into the chat, if anybody wants to join them on Friday tomorrow. So thanks for that. Anybody have any other updates? Greg, did you want? Yep, there you go. I was gonna say I saw you put your camera on, Greg. Go ahead.
How's everybody doing? Yeah, I thought I saw Jacinda in here earlier. I was going to defer to her, but I think she might have had to run. Just a couple of updates. I mean, everybody knows, obviously, Building Safety Month, and ELMC has been posting a few videos. So, check those out, like, share, follow, all that good stuff. Let's see, the ELMC annual mug swap. Sign up for that closes on the 31st, which is next Friday. So if you want to get in on that, get a mug and maybe some other trinkets from a fellow code person or something like that from across the country, sign up for that. It's pretty cool. I think we're expecting about 50 folks this year. So definitely look into that. We've been trying to do some education presentations during our meetings. Our next meeting is on June 10th, I believe, at 1 o'clock Eastern. This meeting's presenter has not been locked down yet, but I think we'll have something pretty good. And then I always have to make my plug for a day of service at the Long Beach ABM. Registration is open for the beautification project and the Playhouse build projects. I can put those links in the chat. There's also the donations are also open for that, for sponsors and all kinds of that good stuff. We need to raise at least $10,000 to do the 2 playgrounds that are planned, plus the beautification. And I believe they're going to try and shoot for a 3rd one, which would mean 15,000. So all donations are welcome. Other than that, yeah, like I said, June 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern is our next ELMC meeting.
Excellent. Thanks for that. All right. Anybody have any other updates? Any questions for any of the other membership councils or liaisons? All right. Seeing none. Thanks everybody for those updates. Moving on the agenda, we've got call for committees. I think we're gonna have to hold off on that a little bit, at least for our subcommittees, unless there were other call for committees. Bill, that you had done.
I'll take down the current call for committees on the website. Maybe I'll try to rework it a bit so we don't lose the placeholder. So that would be still a good landing spot for people who are outside of our group of the governing committee who have interest. We've had a little bit of play on that over the past several years. I hate to lose that spot, so I'll see if I can modify it a bit.
Excellent, thank you. And then, yeah, once we get those committees established, we'll do maybe a little bit bigger of a push for it. So moving on, number 8 on the agenda. It's been mentioned a whole bunch here, but the ABM, October 20th to the 23rd. The BMC meeting is going to be on that Wednesday, October 23rd. So same thing as usual. You know, you'll get a day or two of travel in there. You do get, I know Mark did send out the link to everybody, or hopefully to everybody, to register for the ABM. So you do get a free registration for the entire ABM. Your travel to and from, and I think, you know, the 1 or 2 nights of hotel is covered for your work here, but you may have to still pick up another night or 2 of a hotel and everything on your own if you want to attend everything. But and then obviously if anybody wants to stick around for about a week and a half after that and hang out with me at the Group A Committee Action Hearing number 2 hearings, it should be a fun party. We got some a lot of great stuff out of Committee Action number 1, and we're working on all of our proposals for Committee Action number 2. Those are all due July 8th, I think it is, if anybody was getting in any comments for Committee Action number 2. But yeah, if anybody wants to stick around for code hearings, that's always fun. I'll be there for the duration, but
You don't have
Andy,
to hang out with Ed if you
you
go.
do. Rachel hung out with me in Orlando.
Not by choice.
Andy, go ahead.
Depends if you're a left side of the room person, right side of the room person, or middle side of quick question about the timeline of the schedule. Does anybody happen to know when the hearing schedule is anticipated to come out?
I don't
Soon.
know that yet, but
Soon.
oh,
Soon. That's all I can
Soon.
say, soon.
all right. I don't know. I'm assuming that they probably have to wait until they know how many hearings that or comments that they're actually going to have, and like I said, those are due July 8th, so it'll probably be a little bit, I would think, before that can come out. But yeah. But yeah, otherwise though, I don't know, anybody have any questions on travel or the ABM or any of that stuff in general?
It will
Or
still
if anybody
be.
wants to
So
hear about
just-
the Wood Council proposals, I can.
I guess in
hold on.
terms of.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Ed. Bye, Ed.
Allison?
Just in terms of attending and coverage, the ABM annual business meeting is still scheduled for Monday morning, correct?
Yes.
So is ICC covering the cost of like Monday, Tuesday night, and then folks can fly out Wednesday after the meeting? Is that the?
Yeah, I mean, we'll cover 2 nights, whether you of your choice. I mean, some people
Gotcha.
want it on the front end, the back end, whatever it is, it's 2 nights. And in all fairness to people who have to travel typically long distances, we do give consideration beyond 2 nights for special circumstances. So don't feel like you're bogged to have some crazy travel plans just to keep to that policy. We've been pretty liberal with allowing, based on circumstances. Yeah, so the steering committee meeting takes the place now of the general council meeting that we've had. So it's usually an 8 a.m. start for that, and then 9 a.m. start for the membership council meetings, much like we've done in the past. So the only difference is that the naming of it would be different, hoping to have some type of a program for the steering committee, but that will be a meeting that they had, much like they had in Orlando. So count on that to happen. I kind of alluded to it earlier with regards to the election process. It feels like we're going to be able to do an electronic election for governing committee members and announce that slate at the steering committee. So we're pretty close to making that happen. As we are close to, I also heard mention of the member engagement platform, which is still coming out soon, as Director Boso states. It's coming out soon, but I have been granted access to it and have had a chance to play around and break it a little bit. It really is a good looking platform. I think we're all going to be happy with it. It's going to make us a lot more efficient, particularly here with the membership councils, but beyond that, it's going to help bring ICC into a world that I think we can all live with and engage much better. So I'm pretty pleased with it for the short time that I've been in it. It's looking good.
Thanks. Excellent. All right, we are just about out of time. Oh, Paul, go ahead.
Did you say that Mark has sent out the registration information? I know that with my job change here, there's been some lost time and fun. So
well, then you don't get the discounted rate. So sorry. Got to go back work for the state of Maine again to got to go back to Maine to state of Maine to get that discount. But yeah, I'll
not on your life.
Maybe reach out to Mark and maybe
I got the email. I'll forward it to you, Paul. Can you just throw in the chat the email we can all bother you at now in your island 2-day-a-week full-time somehow job that I'm going to continue to be envious of?
It's down in St. Kitts, down Grenada, somewhere down there. So he'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
He only comes off the island to inspect whatever Stephen King is working on that week. Otherwise, he's relaxing.
Yeah. I issued my first permit and a lady responded very quickly and wanted to know how to appeal my permit. Thanks.
All right.
Let me sign it first. Sorry, I should have thrown my name there, but.
All right. Any other questions on the ABM, any of that stuff? All right. If not, any other closing thoughts or anything like that from anybody? We'll actually get out of here on time, I think, almost. Nope. All right, Paul wants to say something. We'll be over.
I would say that just, for Bill Nash's sake, there was a gentleman that Ed's referring to that was referred to as the GOAT, and he was roasted. So I think you're being roasted by Ed, just like the GOAT was. That's so right. You should feel good.
I'll hold that thought.
That'll be at the ABM after a couple cocktails in us. Yeah, I'll give him the full roast.
Full roast.
Mark Matheny has custody of the cylinder of excellence. So we'll see.
That's right. All right. Next meeting is going to be July 10th for us. Oh, there it is. There's the cylinder of excellence. Next meeting is going to be July 10th. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. I'm assuming no objections to that. So we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a great holiday weekend. And we'll see you all July 10th if I don't talk to you guys sooner.
Sounds good.
Thanks, all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe.
And